Okay, good morning. I want to talk to you guys today about something that is pretty well, it's becoming more and more prominent in not only our industry but all industries, and it's kind of a hard topic to talk about because of a couple things. One, I don't want to bring anybody into this, and I don't know any, circumstances are always beyond what you actually see. So somebody could be having a bad day. They could be fighting with their spouse. Their dog could have just died. There's a gazillion things that go on that make people do what people do. And, and I see this and I can understand this and I can appreciate this. On the flip side, I have an obligation to my employees, my company, my business, and the whole nine yards to act and to react in a manner that is going to safeguard all of the things that I just listed, plus the customer. So, all of that being said, let me start from the beginning and tell you about the customer that I'm blacklisting because of the way that they bullied my employees and my company and me. Now, I want to start off by saying this. I'm not calling out anyone. I'm not naming names. I'm not naming locations. I'm not going to give you a video of the situation that was going on. Not because I don't want you to see it, but because all of that was done on private property, and I don't really, I don't agree with again, going into that side of it. The whole purpose of this is to inform you as people in the business as to what to do when you're confronted with this, because you will be. You're going to run into difficult customers, and maybe even there are going to be some customers out there that'll see this and they'll understand the situation that they're putting us in, and the things that are going on in our head and the whole nine yards. And I know that is a huge prelude and a big preface, to get into a story. But I needed to lay all that out because I didn't want to get in a situation where you guys were I don't want this to be one-sided at all. I want you, and I do want you guys to get what you can get out of this without the negative side of it. I don't hold any ill will. I don't hold any grudge, any problem, the whole nine yards. Again, I don't know what's going on. I can only tell you what my side of the story is, and I'm not going to ask them their side of the story. So with all that, this is what happened. My employees went and delivered a slide early in the day, and when they got there, the owner of the property came out and greeted them. Now, my employees, these were, two of my son and, another employee. They're both young adults. But they don't have the world view that everyone else does. They don't have the experience. They don't have the whole nine yards. And again, I just want you guys to understand that's what the part that kind of gets me going the worst is because if the later part of this would have happened to my employees or to my son specifically, I don't know how that side of it would have been much better or anyway. So they went and delivered this, and my son told me that the delivery was fine, but the customer was being a little difficult. They gave vague instructions. They made them move it twice. They made some kind of snide comments and stuff like that. But all that's fine. Whatever. It's part of the business. And my son and the employee got it set up and got moved on to the next rental in the whole nine yards. Contract signed, money paid, the whole nine yards. Not a problem. Okay. But when he came back, he explained to me that the customer was a little difficult and that, he was a little frustrated. And that's fine. I decided that, I was going to go on the pickup side of this because I didn't want any friction, because I could already tell that my son and the employee weren't real happy with the situation, and they didn't want to go and deal with some other stuff. So the event ended at 7:30. I texted the contact person, let them know that we were on our way and that we would be there between 7:45 and 8 o'clock. Now, I gave them this extra time because I know parties are ending and people are getting out of the way and the whole 9 yards. I like to give them a little bit of extra time after the party. I don't try to show up right at the end of the party. Sometimes customers want you to do that. They want you to be the harbinger of the end of the party and, to come in, we got to take it and that kind of stuff. And that's fine too. But that wasn't this situation. And I don't mind giving them a little bit of time. But I wanted to pick it up before dark. It's getting dark at about 8:05. So I had time. I'm driving. Employees are in the passenger seat. I pull in, and when I pulled into the driveway, I pulled straight ahead, and I saw some kids, and they jumped off the slide and ran over to the trampoline, and were doing what kids normally do. They were excited. Oh, the guy's here, bye, and they're screaming the whole 9 yards. Well, this caused the owner to come out. Well, when I pulled into the driveway, there was a side kind of little drive that you parked in, and I had pulled into that and was backing up so that I could be in position to go and get the unit and do the things that I needed to do. And my intentions always are, make contact with the homeowner and ask them how the party went, and ask them if they were done, tell them I was going to pick up the unit. Well, I literally pulled into this side drive, and I put the van in reverse, and I heard this banging on the back of my van. Bam, bam, bam. So, I see, I have a backup camera, and I see the review cameras. The guy is standing to the side of the van. He's not behind it. He's standing to the side of it, and he's slapping the side of my van. So I put it in park, and I jump out, and I said, hey. And he says, who are you? Now, look, I was wearing this hat. I was wearing, not this t-shirt, but I was wearing a t-shirt that was like this, that had my logo on it. I was in a different vehicle than when we delivered it in. But, I mean, I'm not trying to fool you. I'm not trying to, get into a situation where I'm trying to, spring something on you. I literally texted before I got there. The contract says 7:30 that they signed off on. This isn't a surprise. Okay. I'm the inflatable guy. I'm here to pick up the inflatable. And I kind of stuck my hand out, shake his hand. Hey, I'm the inflatable guy. I'm here to pick up the inflatable. You guys done? And he went into this tirade about how I should never come unannounced, that I should have immediately come to him first and announced myself, because this is private property. He's a veteran, and normally this is what he says. Normally what he does is shoot first when people come into his driveway. And then he said, and I've got these two giant Rockwallers back here that could have ran up and just devoured you. Well, he's having a birthday party, and I see that there are other guests that are there. So these Rockwallers are either used to strangers being on the property, or they're not out in the yard, which I didn't see them. The whole 9 yards. Anyway, I'm kind of taken aback. I'm like, well, I don't get. Now, look, there's two paths here. There are two paths. One, I can come back at him. Sir, you are totally in the wrong. You're not going to threaten me. You're not going to threaten my employees, the whole 9 yards. The problem with that is that I'm on his property. And I get it. I'm there to get my equipment. And look, this is probably the most important part of this part of the video. And I hope you guys are watching this that are in the business. You need to have a clause in your contract that says that you can come back at the time after the party and pick up the unit. You need to have the customer give you permission to return and gather the equipment. Because if you don't have any standing to be on the property, one. And number two, I mean, and this all falls on the civil side. And I understand that the law is going to come to your place, but having that clause in your contract that says you have the right to re-enter to the property after the end of the event, or when decided upon by you or the customer to retrieve your equipment, period. And it's very, very important that you put that in there, because if, particularly this incident, if I didn't do all the steps that I did, announce myself by text, have a signed contract that said I would be back after 7:30 to pick up the units, come in wearing a uniform showing what I'm doing. All of these things are important to law enforcement, who inevitably, that's the direction that all of this is going to go if this turns bad. If the dogs bite you, if he shoots at you, if he shoots you, if he attacks you, if he, whatever. All of those things are things that you need to include into your good faith effort to try to alleviate any kind of misunderstanding or anything. This guy does not have any ground to stand on, because I have 4 or 5 different pieces of evidence that show who I am and what's going on and why I'm there. Now, honestly, to tell you the truth, I think this was more of a ploy on his side to try to intimidate my employees or scare them away and have an extra time, to give more time. Well, I wasn't having all that. I apologized to the guy. I said, listen, I'm sorry. I'm wearing the uniform. We texted you guys. Well, you guys are dealing with my wife, not with me. Here's the second point. It doesn't matter who I'm dealing with, as long as and again, I'm not throwing this in his face. I'm not trying to escalate an argument. But if someone brings that argument to you and you have this disagreement about whether or not you had permission to be there because I told you couldn't be, the wife has just as much permission or authority to allow me onto the property as he does. It doesn't, he's not end all, not in according to the law, not according to property rights. If one person has the right to be there, they have the right to let someone else in, unless there's some other circumstances involved, crimes or something like that. But on legal matters, legal business, legal happenings, you have the right to allow someone on there if you're there. He's the wife, she's the wife, she lives there, she pays the bill, she cooks it, whatever. She has just as much right to allow me on the property as him. Well, his argument doesn't have any stance there. And again, I'm trying to de-escalate because I'm trying to get my equipment and go. I'm not trying to be that side of it. Now, again, I want you all to understand, this is not the time for you to be, puffing out your chest and trying to be rough and tough and rumble. This is this guy's house. I'm not about to fight some guy on their house. That's not going to happen. Okay. I'm not going to be bullied. My employees are not going to be mistreated 100%. But I don't know what's going on. Did he just get in a fight with his wife? Is he upset? Has he been drinking? I don't want any of that. I want my equipment and I want to leave. So again, I apologize, sir. I apologize. You guys keep doing this. I've never seen this guy before. I don't. I don't know that we did him, but if we did, it was like a year ago, and it may have been, a totally different crew on my, of my employees that went and saw him. That's not what this is about. Again, I alleviate it. I'm sorry. Are you guys done? We'd like to get the slide. Yep. Can I back over to where? Yep. So we got the equipment and left. Now, after the fact, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to deal with this customer anymore because I have this belief that there's either something that is unscrupulous or nefarious, or on the light side, he's trying to bilk me out of some more time. And look, I've got a very liberal policy on my unit. You let me know, you get to keep it as long as you want, as long as it doesn't go past dark. And you can even keep it the next day if you cover it with an overnight fee. I'm not real strict on any of that stuff. I try to make the customer understand that we're there for them and we're there for their event. We're going to make them as happy as we can make them. We're going to do as much as we can do. We can, push out as much fun as we can do. That's 100%. So I don't mind if you want, but we've pushed it all the way up to dark. So he's either trying to get more time for no reason, or there's some social or emotional or psychological, I don't know, and I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to diagnose or anything, but that's something that I don't want to be exposed to. I don't want to be in a situation where I have to fight someone over the transaction that everybody has agreed to, and we're, it's not what we're here about. It's not what we're for. And certainly I don't want to be threatened. I don't want to be threatened with being shot, which is what he did. I don't want to be threatened with having dogs sicked on me, which is what he did. I don't want any of that. He's obviously not the kind of guy that is susceptible to having outside people coming onto his property and, taking part of whatever he's got going on there. And I 100% believe in privacy. But I don't want to be a part of a situation where if one of my younger employees or more naive employees went there and said something or did something wrong, then all of a sudden this turns into something that is huge. Don't want any part of that. So he's blacklisted. I won't do business with him. Not because I'm trying to be angry or mad or vengeful or spiteful or anything like that. Has nothing to do with that. It's a safety matter. It's a matter of business trust and faith and safety across the board. For him, for me, for everybody. I don't want a part of it. And I understand everything where he's coming from. I get where he's coming from. But if you live in a situation where you don't want somebody on your property, you don't want your children exposed to strangers driving down your driveway, why are you ordering a water slide to be delivered and then upset when they come at the time that they were told to come? I don't understand that. I don't understand, the process behind that, other than the fact that you're literally pushing and trying to exert some kind of force or pressure or authority or something over somebody that, listen, I'm here to serve. You don't have to exert anything. I'm trying to make you as happy as I can make you. I'm trying to make this party as fun as I can make it. I'm trying to do all the things that I'm supposed to do. You pushing on an incident like that, it's not. So, again, blacklist. Now, what does a blacklist mean in our industry? It means that if you call me, I'm sorry, you need to find somebody else. Period. You have to do this after the fact. You have to do it, a lot of times you have to go through the pain. Now, if I wrote him a letter and said, look, we're no longer doing business with you, yada, yada, yada. I know exactly what's going to happen. He's going to shoot up a bunch of bad reviews and the whole 9 yards. It's best to allow the time to go past, put him on the blacklist. If your program, your reservation program has the ability to do this, you need to mark them down, name, address, the whole 9 yards. My program allows me to flag both the name and the address and any of the contact information, phone number, email, any of that stuff. So if that stuff is put back in, doesn't work. They can't do it. Now they can go around it and they can put other stuff, but it gets kind of difficult to have a slide delivered to your address and you not put in your address. So that's the big thing. Anyway, again, no hard feelings across the board. I really just want people to understand on both sides. One, you as a business owner, you're trying to do your best to make the customer happy, but you need to make sure that you are also safe and that you're also not being, put in a situation where things are not on the up and up. And two, customers, look, I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I'm just trying to deliver a slide for some kids. So, cut us a little slack. Sorry that we upset whoever, that your dogs were upset or, whatever was going on. But anyway, that's my thought. Hey, have you guys got any thoughts on this? Do you have any ideas on this? What do you think should be done one way or the other? And, how would you handle it? Hopefully this helps you guys. Hopefully, again, it helps the customers. And, put in the comments anything that you want to add to it and let's talk about it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.